Hi, I'm David with EV World News, where we talk about electric vehicles, green energy, and the stock markets. And I'm here today with engineer Mike Herzog. How's it going today, Mike?
Great, David. Trent out here.
Well, let's talk about something to do because you drive a an Audi EV, correct?
Correct. Yep, I've got a 2021 e-tron.
So tell me a little bit about how this has been. So we've been dealing with probably the coldest 2 weeks I recall in all the years I've lived in Nebraska. So I've lived here for 9 years. This is the coldest winter I can recall. And
This has
so,
been a bad one. This has been a bad one, and it's not, it's not just local to us in the Midwest. I think a lot of places in the country are feeling it right now, and what this cold is. And this is my first winter, Nebraska winter, otherwise coming into it with an electric vehicle. And
mhm.
through the summer, I have the level 2 charger in my garage. I've got all the good stuff. Follow the guidelines. Charged 80% unless it's a big trip and what it looks like. And with my particular vehicle and where it's at, and temperature and everything, spring, summer, fall, full charge. 180, 190 miles. Getting it up to 80%, which was great, and I could count on that mileage. More or less being one for one. If it said I got 190 miles, I could get 190 miles out of it. I could make, a 50-mile round trip, no sweat. Then turn around the next day without charging, do a 30, 40, 50-mile round trip, no sweat, no concerns or anything. But as the weather is starting to get colder, I've really noticed the drop off in it, and I was expecting it. And I've observed this through my engineering studies and work and what it looks like. We have empirical data out there that says, yep, you consume more energy when it's cold. You want to say, duh. Well, yeah, it's a battery. It takes more time. Electric heating, resistive heating, everything like that. It's going to take more energy to do those things. What I wasn't prepared for was how steep the drop off has been, at least in my particular case. And I'm just curious and seeing with this cold snap across the nation and the prevalence of electric vehicles out there, what some of these comments are going to come back from people. So I just this morning, and it's not the coldest day we've had. It's actually it's sunny and 15 degrees out there, so that's downright balmy from the past 2 weeks. But
Right.
got in, got my message. Hey, your vehicle's been fully charged with where you're at. Walk in, 91 miles. So about
Wow.
half of what I was seeing in the summer. And the kicker to that is get in the car, drive a mile or two down the road. That 91 all of a sudden turned into about 78 miles, and where it's at. So it was bleeding those miles off quickly. That's performance I've also noticed over the past couple of weeks as it's been very cold. That is not necessarily a one for one as it goes through. Where I think maybe it's in the electronics, it's taking my garage temperature. It's saying, hey, at this temperature rate, this is what you're getting. Well, my garage is still very cold right now, 20 degrees, but then you pull out and it's 0 degrees and it just goes right down.
Interesting.
Haven't had a concern. I'm a city commuter. I'm only going 15, 20 miles a day at the most. So it's not an issue, but it's more than I was expecting. And it's a lot more than I was expecting to see out of it. And just like I said, curious to see what's going to come out of this as you start looking at fleet electrification. We have electric Amazon trucks in Omaha, at least, and they have a set route and they need a number of miles. And you better believe people are crunching numbers and they are going to get exactly what they need and nothing bigger. And if there is any variation in that cold weather performance that people are starting to note out of it.
My understanding is a lot of those Rivian vans only can go about 80 miles in the winter on their
Mhm.
charge. So it is a significant range reduction. One of the things is the electric cars have to generate heat in a different way than a gas car does as far as heating the car too. So a lot of energy is used to just heat the interior of the car as
Oh
well.
yeah.
And I suspect your Audi is probably concerned, and the computer's probably not completely sure, and it just assumes you're really going to run through that battery quicker and probably just trying to make you cognizant of, hey, we may need to charge sooner.
Yeah.
So
And
it may not
I
really
hope
be
that's the case.
leaking that fast, but it seems like the German cars, because of German regulations, all in the tests I've seen, they all showed in normal weather much more range as new cars than what they were registered as.
Hmm.
And they their winter range reduction didn't seem like such a huge drop off compared to other brands. And
Oh,
so
completely. Yeah.
I thought that was kind of interesting. Don't have a lot to cover today, but I wanted, since you were on here today, I wanted to talk about this article. This is coming from Electric, and this is about Harvard develops a solid state battery that charges in minutes. Now, this is kind of interesting. So they're saying that this lithium metal battery can be charged and discharged at least 6,000 times. And let me see where we get into some of this. Um, One of the big challenges in solid state batteries is the formation of dendrites on the surface of the anode. Dendrites are projections of metal that can build up on the lithium surface and grow like roots into the electrolyte. This is very much more technical than we really normally discuss. When discharged, like coating needs to be stripped from the anode, and when plating is uneven, the stripping process can be slow and result in potholes and induce even more uneven plating in the next charge. It's maybe a little more scientific than I want to get into.
It is. It is. I actually, the father of lithium ion batteries, John Goodenough, just passed away within the past year. So I actually had the pleasure of sitting next to him at a luncheon one time and walked me through the process. Quite the character. But yeah, the idea of dendrites, and that's been one of the challenges of fast cycling. It's the buildup
Mhm.
of those, and effectively it creates a short in the battery, and that's why they blow up. You have roots growing from each side and these connective pads, and as soon as two of them touch, it creates an issue in there. So it sounds like
Well,
that's the problem they're trying to avoid, or maybe they have some type of solution for.
this is really interesting. It's saying that, oh, this is a stamp size, postage stamp size pouch cell version, 10 to 20 times larger than the coin cell used made in most university labs. The solid state battery retained 80% of its capacity after 6,000 cycles. Now, I guess one of the things, when it says it'll charge in 10 minutes, you know, I think a lot of that has to do with, do the charging stations actually have that much power to put that out? So that I don't know that charging stations probably can put that out. I've seen some new, something like, I don't even remember what the number that they register them as. Is it 500 kilowatt hours or something like that? There's some new ones that are coming that are incredibly quick, and the cars aren't even designed yet to handle it. And so it'd be
Yeah.
interesting to see where some of this goes with charging. But that's one of the things with solid state. And I've seen other, I've discussed in the last few days, I've discussed sodium ion batteries, some new technology for lithium batteries that last longer. Um, it can get more range and can charge faster. But it's interesting to see this. So, I mean, if they can make it so that the cars can charge in 10 minutes, that'll really take away a lot of the doubt people have about taking an
Oh yeah.
EV on a road trip.
Yep. Yep. 100%. Because a road trip, by the time you get the kids out of the car and use the bathroom and get a snack and all of that, that's 10, 15 minutes right there. So that alleviates a lot of that pressure. Your comment about charging stations is interesting because we a lot of the times we'll measure our batteries in energy, which is
Right.
a kilowatt hour, something like that. And that's really just power times time. So
Hmm.
it's a kW is a unit of power, your instantaneous measurement, and then time over that. So it's exactly like you said, you shrink that time, your
Hmm.
power has to go up significantly as you go around through it, which is it's the teeter totter of this entire equation. So yeah, the idea of getting that down and building the rest up to support that instantaneous power draw is that's the fulcrum, that's the middle of the teeter totter to actually get that figured out.
Yeah, because it's really not a big deal if you charge how fast you charge your car at home, unless you have one of those Hummer H2 EVs, that takes like 24 hours to charge on a even on a level 2 charger because the battery's
Yeah.
so enormous. Yeah.
Yep.
But anyways, I didn't really have a lot to cover today. I do appreciate you coming on as always, Mike, and we will be back on with Mike on Wednesday. All right.